This conference will now be recorded.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Approval of minutes for April 2022 regular meeting, May 4th special meeting, and the May 13th emergency meeting of the city council.
Motion to approve minutes for April 20th, regular meeting, May 4th, special meeting, May 13th, emergency meeting of the city council.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any discussion?
I do have a question. I was not informed of the May 13th emergency meeting. And I was just wondering, if I want to do something else to be notified for that or?
During the meeting, everybody received the same email.
I didn't receive an email.
Who's no? And also, I don't know if you're aware, when there's an emergency meeting for a declaration, the mayor sets that agenda, and we try hard to get everybody. It is understood that because of the emergent conditions, it's possible that not everybody will be able to show up.
Yeah, I understand that. And it turns out that I probably would not have been able to attend anyway. But I think a text or an email or something would be good to get in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Presentation, Apex Underground Utilities and Street Improvement Project Update. Bob?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council, staff. Just wanted to give an update this evening on the underground utility and street improvement project that we've been working on, talking about. Got some good news and some bad news. So I believe I provided an agenda to everybody. Obviously, the project areas that we're looking at, I have a schematic in my agenda that I provided. It's a good portion of Schliemann Avenue, Rooney Avenue, as well as Beale Street. I think we all know the project areas. Bids were taken on April 13th. We got some good bids. We had a public hearing on April 20th. At the council meeting following the public hearing, a resolution was passed awarding a construction contract to Keekly Underground Incorporated of Kimball for both sections A and B, contingent upon receiving funding from the PFA, and that there was no significant changes to the anticipated funding from the PFA. We've since learned, since that time, we've learned that the city does qualify for some grant dollars for this project. The indications that we've gotten thus far from the PFA is for the drinking water side. The number that we've been given is approximately 1.6 million. And there's possibly grant eligibility on the sanitary sewer side as well. I know Kathy wanted some additional information. Willie and I followed up with that and got Kathy that information in regard to some budget items for the wastewater side. I was hoping to get some more information prior to tonight's meeting, but Kathy is out of the office until Friday. So again, 1.6 on the drinking water or water distribution system is what we've been told, and possibly grant dollars for the wastewater as well. The bad news is right now the PFA does not have any grant dollars for this project. When the lists are put together, any projects that were certified last year get put at what's called the carryover portion of the list. They get put at the top of the list. And because costs came in so much higher for those projects, and I think we all know the reasons for costs coming in higher, all the grant funds were used for those projects. So Appleton was down on part B of the list, being that this is the first year that we applied for it. And again, there's not enough grant money to cover your project here in Appleton. So we were hoping that a bonding bill was going to get passed and that there was going to be money in that bonding bill to cover the grant dollars for your project here in Appleton. Obviously, I think most of us know where that's at. That bonding bill did not get passed. So moving forward, best case scenario is by June 12th, a bonding bill does get passed and there's money in that bonding bill that's allocated to projects like you have in the city of Appleton. If a bonding bill does not get passed by June 12th, we may have to reject all bids and advertise for bids again this fall once the new IUP list comes out. So
Will we stay at the top of that? I mean, rebidding it doesn't move you down the list, right, on the money side of that?
no, so what happens, as I mentioned before, on that list, there's at the top are carryover projects. So actually your project here in Appleton is going to get moved from part B of the list up to part A, since it will be a carryover project. So you will actually be in better position to receive funding this next go around if there's funds available.
What would that do to our start date, Bob?
It would obviously push it back. I mean, right now, let's say best case scenario, a bonding bill does get passed in the near future. There's money available in that bill for your project here in Appleton. We continue moving forward like we've planned to, and we award a construction contract to Keekly. They've indicated that this time that they would possibly like to start this year, or they may wait till next spring to start. If we reject all bids because there's no funds available, we re-advertise this fall, get good bids, there's money available for the city of Appleton's project or this project, they would likely start next spring right away anyway. So it may not impact the project schedule a lot at all. So good question. Any other questions on what I've discussed so far?
Would you say that the, that 1%, I think, interest rate from PFA, is that going to carry through, or is that like with some market rate or what?
Very good question. It is tied to a market rate. What we've been told right now is that 1% interest rate that we've seen for a significant period of time is going up with the other interest rates on the open market, bonding market, whatever you want to call it. Right now, the latest that we've heard is 1.9% interest. And we'll just have to obviously wait and see what happens with the interest rates moving forward. Yeah. Any other questions? So I guess moving forward, what I would like to do is reach out to Keekly. When we open bids on April 13th, we have what's called a 60-day bid hold. What that means is the city has 60 days to award a construction contract. If you do not award that construction contract within 60 days, at that point, the contractor can withdraw their bid. They're not obligated to their bid anymore. In a normal situation, a lot of times we go 30 days. In this case, because there is funding involved, we extended that to 60. I did contact Keekly by phone and just asked them, hey, you know, if the city requested this via letter officially, what are your thoughts on providing an extended bid hold? And the representative of Keekly indicated that they think that they're open to it. The big question that they had was their suppliers. Obviously, I think those of us that are knowledgeable of the construction industry realize that prices for materials such as pipe, hydrants, valves continue to go up as time goes on. So what I would like to do is get permission from the city to write Keekly a letter requesting them to extend their bid hold. The worst that can happen is they say no. And again, once June 12th hits, we would have to basically reject all bids and re-advertise this fall. If they say yes and give us an extended bid hold, hopefully at some point, I'm going to ask for an additional 30 days. They may say, no, we're not going to give you any. They may say, we'll give you 15, 20, 10, whatever. And hope that a bonding bill does get passed within that time frame, and there's dollars in there that could be allocated to the city of Appleton's project. So that's where we're at right now.
Well, that's what concerns me is, I mean, the way things are going right now, a project this size could go up $1 million just by rebidding it next year too.
It could possibly do that as well. That's the other thing. Yeah, and if the city wants to go ahead and move ahead and award a construction contract right now to Keekly and basically forego the 1.6 million plus whatever else you may qualify for on the sanitary sewer side, you still have that option to do that if you want to.
Well, I mean, no, I don't think that'd be the proper decision, but I'm just saying the way things are going right now in the construction world, it could go up 2 million pretty easy. So.
Yeah, so that's basically a summary of where we're at right now with the process. Like I said, it's very good news that you do qualify for grant. That's where we wanted to get. and we're here now. It's just unfortunate that there's not enough money to,
But can you explain that we had to go through the process we did to get to this point to even qualify for those grants? So everything we've done had to be done to this point to even get there.
that is correct. So basically what it comes down to is you need to show that you know, financially that you need or qualify or need that grant dollar, those grant dollars. And if you would not have done the water treatment plant project, for example, we very likely would not have qualified for grant for this project, because when you did the water treatment plant project, obviously that's a significant addition to your debt service, annual debt service. And that's one of the major components that they look at when they calculate that grant eligibility for communities. So yeah, you're exactly right. And typically, you know, there's things that change all the time. It's based on your median household income as a community. It's based on the total number of equivalent dwelling units you have in your systems. And we can get into that if you want to at some point. I think I gave a presentation at the hospital a couple of years ago.
Yep.
We got into the nuts and bolts on all this funding stuff, and I can come back and go over that again. There's things that change from year to year that can affect your grant eligibility, but as a general rule, if you don't have a lot of change in your water use or demand in your system or your wastewater production in your system, once you qualify for that grant, those grant dollars, moving forward, you typically continue to qualify for grant as well. The only thing that would change that is if you have a significant increase in your water use in town, which typically also results in an increase in your wastewater production. That can affect your grant eligibility.
Is that, would those grants still be the same and be available if we went ahead with the project now?
No, they would not be. I'm being told, it's my understanding that no, if you went ahead right now and those grant dollars are not available to you, they would not, moving forward, if you signed a contract with the contractor and move forward, you could not come back after you sign that contract and be eligible or obtain those grant dollars. Very good question. So again, to summarize, what I would like to do, again, go back, write a letter to the contractor requesting an extension on the bid hold. If they say no, worst case scenario, they say no, and a bonding bill does not get passed by June 12th. At that point, I'm assuming, this is obviously your decision, I'm assuming you do not want to move ahead. You would rather reject all bids, re-advertise this fall, and take advantage of those grant dollars. Hopefully next year they're available to you. Any other questions on that? I'm going to go ahead and move forward and do that then. The other thing that I have in my agenda here is a construction phase engineering services agreement. I provided this agenda to Willie a couple of weeks ago, so this is outdated by a while. Given the situation that we're in, actually, I was anticipating that a bonding bill would get passed and that we would hopefully be discussing moving ahead this evening with an additional $1.6 million in grant at a minimum. That did not happen. So what I did is I included a construction services engineering agreement. At this point, until we know construction is going to move ahead, I would say that we just not act on this and leave it where it is and wait and see what happens, if that's okay with the council. Any other questions or comments for me? If I could comment on one more thing, I was just up at the water treatment plant. Sounds like things are getting very close. They've been running it intermittently a little bit. It sounds like it's getting very close to being put online. So that's very exciting. That sounds like you were able to, your staff was able to do some flushing here recently and improve your water system. So that's exciting. So thank you very much, everybody.
Great, thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Northland Securities, Jessica.
Mayor Council, good evening.
Evening.
For your consideration tonight, we have a resolution providing for the issuance and sale of $303,000 in general obligation equipment certificates. This will be considered Series 22B for the city, and this will be used to finance the purchase of a new fire truck for the city. So in your packet, along with the resolution, you have a proposed final bank term sheet for this transaction. Now, just a couple of comments quick on how this transaction sort of went in terms the approach. A little bit different than what we've seen over the past few financings that we've done with the refundings and the financing of the library facility. This we approached as a private placement rather than your traditional type of bond sale. A couple of reasons for that being that we're at a smaller dollar amount, so again, $303,000. And then also with equipment certificates, statute requires that the bonds are paid within 10 years of issuance. So having that shorter duration combined with that smaller dollar amount, this really lent itself well to a private placement. So with that term sheet that you have before you, some really high level detail there. Happy to say that the purchaser of the bonds is Prairie Sun Bank here in Appleton. So staying local here, and that does end up saving the city some money on an annual basis. So being that the bank is local and you can make the payment directly to them, it does save you around $450 per year so that you're not having to engage a placement agent. And then you're also not having to do continuing disclosure as well. So it saves you probably around $5,000 over the life of the issue. So bond counsel here was Taft, and Taft has served as bond counsel for the last several bond issues that the city has done. The pricing occurred last week. The award, of course, consideration is tonight. That would allow for proceeds to be delivered to the city on June 22nd. So we do have interest due twice a year on February 1st and August 1st. And then relatively level principal and interest payments throughout roughly around $40,000 per year. The bonds were not rated. In terms of borrowing authority here, we are issuing under Chapter 475 and also 412.301. And then in terms of security, looking at the general obligation pledge of the city. With that, I am happy to take any questions that the council may have.
Could you talk us through a little bit the difference in projected debt service to this actual debt service?
Say more.
We had expected a little bit less than what we're expecting, what we're getting here, because we sold at a
Sure.
premium. So.
Yep. So the bonds are issued at 3.625%. So when we would have looked at this probably about a month ago, 6 weeks ago, we would have been looking at roughly 3.5%. Just generally speaking, and again, if you've kind of looked at anything related to interest rates in the last several months since the beginning of the year, rates have just continued to steadily kind of climb up. We've seen, of course, some corrections here and there, but generally speaking, it's an upward trend. So that's why we're seeing that little bit of a differential there around 12.5 basis points.
Any other questions for Jessica? No. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Okay, moving on, old business. Hearing none, we'll move on to new business. Resolution 2022-25 Equipment Certification Awards Series 2022B in the amount of $303,000.
Motion to adopt resolution 2022-25 awarding the equipment certificate series 2022B in the amount of $303,000.
A second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any discussion?
I don't think we need to go over the need for this equipment, do we? We went into that pretty heavily in the last meeting.
Hearing no other discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Resolution 2022-26.
This resolution before you is to amend the 457 plan to deferred compensation plan for the employees of the city of Appleton. The employees of the city of Appleton as a benefit are able to draft loans from the plan. These loans would be serviced through ICMARC. The city would not process any of the servicing, any of the money, any of the responsibility for the loan at all. It is a benefit that is attractive and serves the purposes in retention and attraction of new and qualified employees.
Motion to adopt resolution 2022-26 amending deferred compensation 457 plan permit loans.
Second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion?
What kind of cost is this to the city?
None.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Task order form contract for personal services.
Professional services. This is what Bob was talking about at the table.
Oh, yeah, Bob, okay.
Motion to enter into a task order form contract for professional services with Apex Engineering in the amount of $565,000 for the 2022 underground utility and street improvement project, contingent upon and payable from bonding through the Minnesota Public Facilities Authority.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion?
Wait, this is to be tabled, I believe you guys just discussed with Apex Engineering.
Is this what Bob was?
Yes.
So we'll wait and see if he can extend
Right. So
30 days.
we're trying and hoping and praying for bonding at the state level.
So we can just vote it down then, and
If there's no other discussion, all in favor? Those against?
aye.
Motion is abolished. So that's just tabled. We can just leave it with that then?
It failed right now.
Yeah.
We'll bring it up again when you're ready.
MSR contract amendment.
This is amending the standard form AIA architectural contract that the city has with MSR Design. They are the city's architects for the library project. The city is receiving a grant from Otter Tail for green repurposing of that construction in the amount of $10,055, and an additional cost here for pre-bidders conference attendance for the architects to attend is also included for a total of $12,350.
So the $12,000 is for.
Both of those services together. The significant portion, the $10,000, that's Otter Tail grant.
That was insulation, as I recall, spray foam and some other things.
Some insulation, some repurposing of different windows and such
Yeah.
to bring about some savings in energy over the life of the project.
Motion to amend the standard form AIA contract in the amount of $12,350 for pre-bidders conference and services and redesign for the Appleton Library project.
Motion is made. Do we have a second? Second. Motion is made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Probus Engineering charge order request.
Pros Engineering has a change order request. When they did our sewer study, they provided additional services that were not part of the original scope of the contract. And those services cost $3,742.50, which were necessary to complete that study along with the SIU agreement study.
So it is work that we asked them to do.
Yes.
Motion to approve a change order from Coast Engineering in the amount of $3,742.50 for additional work performed in association with the recent sewer rate study.
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Cleaning bid, Miss Olson cleaning.
Lisa Olson's Cleaning and Landscape was the only bid that we received for the cleaning here of the Civic Center and the rest of the city's properties.
So what does that all include?
That includes, let's go real quick. The Civic Center here, once each week. The street shop, once per month. 52 wing, once per month. The airport administration once per week, river park bathrooms bi-weekly, and campgrounds bi-weekly.
This is a budgeted expense that we've had in
Yep.
our budget.
And who's taking care of this now?
Right now, we have Lisa, the person who won the bid, but we need to have a contracted service as opposed to having them as a 1099.
And so is she getting paid the same as amount as her contract?
Nope.
How does she get paid now?
Right now, she gets paid the $11, I think it is, or it's an hourly rate, yeah.
He's very good.
What?
She has.
Is it comparable
I
in
don't,
expense?
I just was curious who's doing it now and who's taking what the funds are now.
So just to give you a little bit of context, we created the role full-time for a custodian, funded it up to $35,000 a year. We have not had a lot of applicants. Lisa was hired as full-time, and then she resigned immediately because as a city in Minnesota, you have to pay your state tax, federal tax, and para. The take-home salary after that, very little.
So now she'll just run it through.
Through her LLC, correct.
Yeah.
And by the way, I verified the insurance coverages and also attached, you'll see that her business is properly incorporated with the state of Minnesota Secretary of State.
Motion to accept resolution, or, excuse me, motion to accept cleaning bid submitted by Lisa Olson Cleaning and Landscaping in the amount of $30,000.
Second.
Yeah, go ahead.
You mentioned landscaping, what landscaping is involved?
I didn't mention landscaping. I said the title of her business.
Her business is called Lisa Olson Cleaning and Landscaping. That's the name of the business.
Motion's been made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Resolution 2022-27, fire assessment.
Emma, would you like to speak on that a little bit?
Council, before you, you have a resolution for assessing a delinquent bill for the fire and rescue department. The owner of the parcel, Miss Victoria Vans, has been sent multiple bills since the incident in October of 2021. And then she was also sent a letter letting her know that she had until last Wednesday to contact us or about a payment or make the payment of this bill. There was no contact, no payments made, so that's why this assessment resolution is in front of you. The total amount of the fire and rescue bill, including the late fees, is $2,765. So this would be assessed to the parcel that has the house that is currently burned down on it, because that is the parcel that had the bill.
Thank you.
Am I correct in understanding then that we are going to assess it to that particular piece of property? Is that connected with her other piece of property?
These are separate parcel numbers.
They are?
Yep.
Okay.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to adopt resolution 2022-27. Assesses Miss Victoria Vans in the amount of $2,765 to collect delinquent fire bill service.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Data policy establishment.
Would you like to speak to this a little bit?
So in front of you, you have two separate data practices policies. One is for the data subject. The other policy is for any public data requests. The Commissioner of the Administration of Minnesota recommends that per statute, we have these two policies in place. These policies outline what information is considered public, private, confidential, who has access to it, how it can be accessed. And then it also provides, by statute, cities are allowed to charge for public data requests or data requests from the data subject. So the costs that are recommended by the state and by statute is for anything under 100 pages, it's 25 cents for a one-sided black and white copy or 50 cents for a two-sided copy. Anything over 100 pages, we can charge the copy charge plus the actual costs involved, which include staff time to research the data, put all the data together, and that rate is at the lowest hourly rate of the employee that is able to perform that task. So if it is information that is only on someone's computer that has to be pulled, well, obviously another staff member can't go on that computer and pull that information. So that person pulling the information would be the one that would be the hourly rate charged. These costs would be required to be paid before copies would be mailed or given to you. There's a form, the standard form we've used for public data requests included in here with all the information. Inspection is free, so if you request to inspect the data, that is free. It's just inspectable in the city office. It's not able to be taken with you. And then if you do request a digital copy, whether CD, flash drive, that kind of thing, the city is allowed to charge for that media when you put it on there and give it to the person requesting it. These policies are all model policies that were created by the Commissioner of Administration. So if the city council does decide to adopt these tonight, we will be notifying the state that we do have these policies in place, and so they will have that on file as well.
So this is a common practice.
This, yep, it is, and it just lays out the process, so there's no questions as far as when a data request is received, how it's handled, costs, that kind of thing. And in training that I was just a part of, they did talk data practices is a big issue, and they recommended strongly having policies in place and that charging was appropriate as laid out by statute.
Okay, so we don't charge presently?
Right now, we don't. No.
Oh, okay. Is there any other changes other than the charge?
No, because we actually don't have a policy in place. The only thing we have is a public data request form.
Okay.
We follow all the statutes as far as the 10 business days or, notifications and things like that. But this would put the policy into place, and then this data practices for the data subject would be included in all the employee onboarding packets that are given out, as well as current employees would get that.
Yep.
So basically, it's just getting our stuff up to speed is what
Yep.
we're doing. Okay. Thank you.
Make a motion to establish data process policies as presented by the office of the city clerk treasurer.
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion?
I have a data request dated April 26th, for which I have received nothing. No confirmation, no information, no description as why to. I would like to have this completed prior to your adoption of a new.
Okay, we could just bring it to the city office, because
It's been there for almost.
yeah, when you go discuss it with them and because you didn't bring it to the meeting ahead of time, we're just dealing with things on the agenda.
This is part of the agenda. It's data request. It's exactly what she was talking about.
Okay, thank you for your time. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Storm recovery update.
My office working with the different department heads and with our county emergency manager, Bill Geary, and with our adjusters to put together all the costs not covered by insurance and get together to put a FEMA application together. And that is happening starting June 3rd. So far, much of our damage is covered. There is some that is not. And for those deductibles and also the labor for clearing by city staff and not just overtime, their typical standard labor is also covered. So we're in the process of gathering all of that so that we can make a submission together with the county.
Okay.
You guys hired?
Yep.
City?
Yep.
How come nobody else got to know about it? There's a guy volunteering 2 trucks and he's told not to come. Why?
Who was told not to come?
The gentleman right around and I got 2 semis that signed up and told not to come.
When an emergency declaration is made, the city council grants certain authorities by which you can circumvent typical procurement structures. Those authorities were granted on that date pursuant to this. It's an emergency declaration during an emergent adverse weather condition.
This was not adverse. The one we had in 4 year 9 once. And you never seen nothing like this happen. People came and they volunteered, nobody got paid extra. How come these guys got paid extra? Nobody else did.
So no one was paid extra.
No. But they came in, they have to come, got volunteered. They didn't have time. For fuel, anything. You know, once those got paid, they were supposedly they were volunteering, they were getting paid.
No, but I'm not aware of anybody saying they were
It was
volunteers.
set up now.
We haven't been paid. There's nobody, we
You
don't,
said you get hired.
we had to come here and actually get permission.
They help clean up the town.
No, we're not, we never got paid.
How come you just said you were hired?
Excuse me, just to bring a little bit order to this. Alpha Concrete and Krantz were hired to assist wherever there was right-of-way removal of debris. Hired, correct, as a contract. Okay, that is an appropriate use of city funds when there's an emergency declaration, which, as I have stated, allows for not, in that instance, not to comply with the state statute 471.345. Another thing, the term of that agreement was only for 3 days.
You said you were hired.
Contracted. They were contracted to do the work. Okay, I fail to see what your point is.
That they were getting paid and they said they weren't.
Who said they weren't?
Right there. You just said you weren't getting paid.
Well, we didn't sign anything to get paid. I was donating my time, and the reason for that is so if my guys are here and I have a contract with them, if somebody gets hurt, nobody gets sued.
But you were a contract.
No money was discussed.
Is there gonna be?
We don't know until he talks to FEMA. What are you trying to cause here, Randy?
You don't say you were donating your time because you.
We were at the time.
You will only get paid though.
You want it?
No, I just said it's fair to let everybody know what's going on. It says secretism.
There is a city council
We'll just
meeting. to
table this.
discuss
It's
it.
gonna get out of hand. There's no sense in arguing about it. If everybody dislikes, don't worry. All the money that I get will be donated back to the city of Appleton. And I'll make sure you see the check stub. Yeah. Just, your whole life is causing trouble. We appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, let's move on. Move on.
What about all the gas that these guys spent and that stuff and that sort of?
Yeah, and I was in on them.
We
too.
had a city council meeting and we agreed that we were gonna get some contractors to get the streets cleared off so we can drive through the streets.
So we did it in a timely fashion, and Morris still has stuff under the deal up there because they didn't hire anybody, and half the streets are blocked up there because they didn't get the job done. We assumed we'd try to do this to make it efficient and do nice for the public, but obviously it's not the way to do it. Moving on, thank you.
Motion to allow the city administrator approve the 2021 city audit on behalf of the city council for submission to the state auditor's office not later than June 30th, 2022 with the city council providing final approval of the audit no later than July 20th, 2022.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion?
So just so everybody knows, the state auditors have a deadline for July 1st for submissions of all municipal audits. We are a little timed out because of delays, and so I'm asking to allow the authority to go ahead and prove it on your behalf and then bring it back when it's your typical regular meeting in July, so you can approve it finally then. This is the same thing we did last year for the same reason.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Tom Resch, fiduciary related resolution, dissolution and distribution of available funds for the summer concert series.
Motion to dissolve the fiduciary relationship that exists with the Thomas Rice Fund and the city of Appleton, and to disperse the total amount of money available, $1,158.62, to the summer concert band series as directed by the St. Paul and Minnesota Foundation.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any discussion?
So where will these funds really go?
They will go to the summer concert band series as directed by the St. Paul Minnesota Foundation and Miss Pat Berry, who is the sister of who.
Right, so it'll go into our conference here in town, right?
No, it'll go into the summer concert series. We cannot control where they do the concerts. A lot of their concerts are in our town, but they do concerts other places.
Okay, I'm confused now, yeah.
Excuse me? The dissolution is a disruptiveness of the operations of the city office. When you have a fiduciary fund in a municipality, you have to make requests and disbursements in a manner consistent with the municipality. For example, the city council has to approve any motion or any movement of that money. If the owner of the fund, Miss Pat Berry, calls and she wants it moved in a particular manner on a Thursday, my office has to inform her when the next meeting is, the city council can approve that. She is not happy with that process. So the solution is to let her move her money where she can use it how she wants.
Okay, is the Rice family okay with this?
Miss Pat Berry is.
Is that, okay, all right.
Is the Dale Lean okay with this as well?
Dale Lean doesn't control this.
I understand, but he's kind of been the ramrod.
But I can't answer that.
Okay.
Dale, Mr. Lean is recipient kind of because of the concert band series.
Yep.
And I'm sure they can use the funds, you know.
But the
He
whole,
just wanted to use it at a quicker time and, it has to go through a city council meeting, so she
Yeah,
wanted it somewhere she could get it quicker.
but there was mentioned that the total dollar amount might not come to Appleton. Is that accurate?
What do you mean the total dollar amount?
The $1,158.62 might not come to Appleton?
No, I don't remember that being mentioned.
Okay, no, then I misunderstood you.
The money's gonna go to the.
That's what I asked. Is the money
Yeah,
going
right,
back
and
to
that
the
foundation,
concerts?
Right.
To the concert series, but your question asked me about whether the concerts will happen here. I don't know what the programming is. The city has no authority over how they schedule their programming. They may have programming outside of the city.
Yeah, I
Oh,
talked
the
to.
Rice family might.
No, the concert band series who will be recipient of these funds.
Okay.
I talked to Dale Ian about the concert series a couple weeks ago, and there was no mention of any other concerts. The money going to any other place other than Appleton. For
Okay.
our concert series.
Okay.
We talked to him.
I just want to be clear because we cannot, regulate how and where they use the money.
Yep, got it.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. City pool discussion.
Okay, unfortunately, we've come to the point in the season where it's time to decide if we're gonna open the pool or not. Because we don't have enough lifeguards. I have for sure 5 lifeguards that can work, and I have 1 adult who is our swimming instructor that can work, but only on certain days of the week and only certain dates, because she does have another job. With that being said, I looked at the schedule from the last 2 years of lifeguards, and looked at the offerings of the different swim programs and such. And without making these 5 kids work 8, 10 hours a day, 5 days a week, right now, what my proposal is to shorten the days of the week that the pool is open as well as the hours. This is just so the employees don't get burned out, because if we were open every day like our normal schedules have been, I'm guessing some of those kids would probably say after 2 weeks, they couldn't do it anymore because they would be working nonstop, no breaks. We wouldn't have any rotation as far as if someone needed to be gone, there was no one to fill in, which would cause some unexpected closing of pools, canceling of programs and such. It's not just an Appleton problem. Area pools are all feeling the crunch. As far as employees go, I've been in contact with Dawson, Madison, Canby, and we've all had struggles. Appleton seems to be unique in the fact that we are struggling more because, I mean, we've put Facebook messages out, we've done all we can to try to get lifeguards. I even actually have one of the applicants, he called and volunteered to get kids to take the class in Dawson that they're offering, but I haven't heard if anybody has signed up for that. A large part of that is during COVID, they didn't have lifeguard training classes. And then also with the pool being down at the school, those classes weren't offered. So a lot of kids didn't get that chance. That's what a lot of lifeguards have told me. They just have friends that wanted to be lifeguards, but didn't have the chance to get into classes. And when the classes opened up, they'd fill immediately. So right now, what I am proposing is being open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, due to the fact that we do have a lot of out-of-town people, and when people come to the ATV park and the area, that seems to be on the weekends. Thursdays, we would be having open swim from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock, and then water aerobics from 5:15 to 6:15. We do have a large following for water aerobics with our 1 instructor. So we wanted to make sure we offered those kind of classes. And then open swim would resume at 6:30 and go until 8:30. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the pool would be open from 2 to 7. And then on Saturdays, deep water aerobics would be offered from 12:15 to 1:15. And the schedule for the aerobics was suggested by our instructor because she gave me her available dates and times and stuff like that. Right now, swim lessons would only be 1 offering of the, for sure, and that would be June 13th through the 15th, the 17th, and then June 20th through 23rd, Mondays through Thursdays, with the exception of 17th because our instructor won't be there. It would be in the mornings, and so that would be the only thing that happens at the pools Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then the rest of the day it would be closed, but Thursday there would be that open swim. And then also looking at what other area pools have done, I think that increasing the wages slightly would help maybe attract some people to Appleton to work. With that, we're gonna have to increase some admission prices, but also all the costs of our parts, chemicals, food, concessions, all that stuff has gone up. So we need to adjust our prices accordingly. So what I'm proposing is a $5 charge for swimming. Whether on a Thursday you come for those first 3 hours or the second 2 hours, it's just $5. We used to have a rate where if you came per session and then you had a daily rate. So you could pay $4 for a day, or I think it was $3 per session to come. Well, you know, when you pay $3 and you swim for 4 hours, it's not keeping up with what we're paying and spending and operating costs. A 7-day punch card was $25, increasing that $5 to $30. The lap swim water aerobics classes, increasing that to $5 per class from last year's $2. Increasing the non-swimmer charge to $2. And then individual passes, increasing them to $100 for a season, a family pass for up to 6 people to $175. And then if you want to add additional people above the 6 on your family pass, would be an additional $25 per person. And what you don't see in here too is in talking with the adult managers last year, we need to adjust our concessions prices because we were selling most everything at cost or just slightly above cost. So we need to look at adjusting those if we were to open. We would work with the managers and our suppliers on that. And I also included some revenues and expenditures for the last 3 years of the pool. As you can see, our pool actually has kept losing money every year. So, and 2020 was a shortened season. I know that was kind of out of our hands, but at the same time, we did have a lot of use of the pool. But as costs go up, we need to adjust our prices as well. And then I also included a wage comparison of what the 2021 wage was for concessions employees, lifeguards, and 2 different kinds of managers, and then the WSI, which is our instructor. And then showed what a proposed increase of 50 cents would be to some, what $1 would be to some. So it shows you kind of the different gross wage increases that would be expected if we were to raise some of the salaries.
So there were only, did you say 5 applicants?
Yep. And
That
actually,
was it.
I had 4 until this last week. We had one take the class last weekend in Millbank and she passed. So I'm up to 5 that I can for sure count on to work consistently.
Have you hired those 5? Because my son applied and he hasn't been contacted. He actually started looking for a different job because he hasn't been contacted and it's kind of late in the season. And so I'm concerned about that there may be other kids that took the time and spent the money to take these classes and they haven't been hired. So do you really have 5 or do you have 5 that apply that you haven't contacted?
I cannot make any hiring decisions myself, and without the council approving the hours, I find out.
And I'm concerning that you're cutting hours and you're raising the rate of the increase because we have a lot of low income people in this. And I'll be honest with you, I don't want to be confrontational at all because I don't think that gets anywhere. I'm really concerned about the school. We worked hard to get it here. Our citizens are important, and most important is our youth in our community. We need to support them and make sure they have healthy activities to do in the summer. So I'm very concerned about the hours that you're proposing. I think Appleton did a bit more proactive about looking for lifeguards, like Martindale, Madison, Dawson. I know they're always here. They're all open 10 hours, 7 days a week, and full hours like they have been in the past. I think we can try harder here, like they've done, and I think we can make more of an effort. I mean, I paid $220 for my son to take this class in March in Appleton, and all the other towns around are offering to reimburse families for it.
We reimburse.
That just came out last week.
We've always
It
reimbursed.
wasn't advertised at all, so I've never seen that advertised before. My daughter also applied to help our concessions, and she hasn't been contacted at all either. My son's worked concessions for the last 2 years. It's a great opportunity for these kids to learn about responsibility and being part of the community. So I don't want to miss out on this chance for these kids. And furthermore, if you're done in our pool with only those 4 days, I think you really need to sit down with these applicants and decide if they're available. Because I know my son won't be available every day to work. They have family plans and vacations and camping to do. So I want my son to have a good balance of responsibility and commitment to this community, as well as family time and being able to be his child when he has this time.
And then some of the biggest complaints is people use our pool as a babysitting service. So that's why we can't keep it open all the time because these kids, these lifeguards, a lot of them have come to us and said, what can we do so we're not babysitting these kids all day long? And if we're open every day, all day, and if we hire the father, is that really fair to, I mean, when you think about it, we're gonna pay $10.50 an hour to sit all day long, and if we have 5 people come to the pool, they've got to sit there. We've got 200 that come, but at the same time, we legally have to have so many guards, and we have to rotate them. If we only have 4 or 5, we have to have them on staff all the time. They get a break, and that's it. They get 1 break.
Okay, all right. I think we gotta aggressively maybe start talking about raising the wages and do something. I mean, I understand it.
I know all of those They don't want to come back because my son was selling pizza and he was getting the same price as he.
No, he wasn't.
Okay,
No, I heard it from Chelsea Monsters myself.
Yeah.
okay, say we're good.
Confrontation, I'm not gonna get anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm trying to rework this and be a little more proactive, because you're being paid city dollars, we should see those all right in our city, community numbers.
All right, thank you. Liz, you got something to say? Okay, well, Brett, will you please come into the city office and, I mean, we're not, we can't fix it here.
There's one part of the water bill that's not in the pool from day one. And it doesn't really go to the pool.
Is it, you mean the rec?
It's, yes.
Rec
like
rate.
180. We were told when the pool came through, because I donated to this pool, I mean, I paid money.
Yeah, so did I.
Now you're doing, one thing I do is the aerobics thing, and you're doing 150% raise on the price. I mean, it's crazy. Well, we have to look at
Hold on, what this,
But I was thinking golf club as a babysitter, and I paid my kids' fees, so it was better than having my kids right.
okay, well, let's move on here. We'll try to do better. We get, if you can come down with some suggestions, how they can get things going.
Just one question for you, Emma. How many people, full-time people do we need to run it full-time?
Full-time, well, we need at least, the minimum is 10 lifeguards, so these kids could have a rotation.
10, I suppose you need what, 5 in the kitchen or 5 in the,
Only about 3 in the concession stand.
but they need to rotate too, or,
What?
I mean, they need to rotate so they get time off
No,
too?
because what they'll do is they'll just rotate within, they'll work the concession side and then they'll go to the admission side, so they just
Oh,
flip
okay,
flop.
okay.
So those kids, that's why we created those roles, is to help alleviate, 2 years ago, we had shortening of lifeguards.
All right.
That's why we added those
All right,
concessions.
well, I would think between Liz and you and, I mean, come up with a plan for wages, and I mean, we gotta do something. I mean, we got over $1 million sitting in that pool, we need to use it.
No. And we started advertising back in February for this.
Well, I think we need to aggressively look it up, maybe possibly up and some stuff and taking some, some rec money. I don't know, we gotta get it open.
Yeah, just really quick to confirm something to my grandson Peyton, who's one that's been one lifeguard. He said at this point, all of his friends are lifeguard in Madison. And he said one of the things is, using and promoting with Boston and did the training. But he also identified the problem of it's too easy to just look at concessions, take that job and not be lifeguard. It's a lot less.
Well, maybe you can come in and work that out. I mean, it's stuff that we're not gonna be able to settle here tonight. So, yeah, yeah.
I heard that too.
All right.
Well, maybe we can put our heads together and try to figure out a way to attract these.
Yep, they got paid, the concessions got paid 10.08, which was the minimum wage last year. And lifeguards got paid 10.50. If they had their WSI, it was extra.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was set by city council. That was not set arbitrarily. And the WSI instructor, aerobics instructor, gets paid $16.50 an hour. And when she lifeguards, she gets paid $16.50 an hour. We can't decrease her wage. So yes, we do. We can't find anybody else. We have tried. And we did have someone lined up that had some family issues where she wasn't going to be able to come this year. So we have one WSI instructor. So we have one swimming lesson instructor and who happens to be our aerobics
All
instructor.
right, well, let's move on. We got a long ways to go here yet tonight. A few people bring us some of your suggestions and we can work on the wages. We need to do something there. So, do we want to table it for now? Or do we have to establish something to open, I would imagine?
Our swimming instructor said we need to decide soon, or she is going to move on to a different job, and her calendar fills up fast, because she does have other obligations that she has, so.
Well, will she accept this, what you proposed here? We don't know.
That's something that Willie will have to discuss with her, because that is not part of my job description.
Well, let's make that a motion and we can see if they can work that through.
Motion in front of us.
Yep.
All right, motion to establish 2022 pool hours and wage increases and admissions changes, charge increases as presented by the office of the city clerk treasurer.
A second.
Motion is made and seconded. Any other discussion?
Just a quick question. If we adopt this, what has to happen to get this changed? That if there's a gap that can be filled for Wednesday, Tuesday, or Monday, what do we have to do to fill that or to change what we're approving tonight?
You need more people.
No, what do we have to do? Is like, do we have to have a council? Do we have to have a meeting? If you get the people, what do we have to do to get Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday filled? Do we have to have another council meeting?
When you get the people,
Can you guys just go and take care of it?
So if we find the bodies to do the work and it is determined that wage is the contributing factor, then we need to come back to city council to adjust the wage at that point.
Okay.
We can have a quick special meeting.
Yep, that's something that can happen.
Yeah, I mean, because we don't want to hold it up. If you can get the people and if you can get your remedies resolved, I don't want to have a hold up all the way till our third week of June meeting to settle this.
I want to get it done quickly.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, these other communities are having the same issue because, I mean, I understand, okay, if Madison's full now, I talked to somebody a month ago and they were having exactly the same problems we were. So obviously they changed something to get it to work. It isn't something they just all of a sudden pulled the rabbit out, so.
Right.
Okay.
And maybe we could, is it even possible to come together, even if we don't have all 10? What if we get like 7 and we can open up another day or two? Can we come together? I would like to see us come together then, even if
Yeah,
if
I
it's
mean,
not the full 7.
Well, I think they can do that on their own. They can open up more days if they have the people. The only time we need to have a special meeting is if they want to up the wages.
Right. Okay.
So they can open up more days. We just need to have a special meeting if we need to up the wages.
We need to do that.
I would say the lifeguards need to make several dollars more per hour than
Does anybody know what Madison is at?
kitchen help.
I do agree.
I have to try it, because. I don't know if it's listed on here, but Austin just gave a pay raise to all their staff. They should put a special thank you for all their, full staff.
That doesn't give you the wages on?
And ask them to consider coming back every year. So, no, I guess it doesn't say on here, but I can absolutely find out some contact with Madison, Dawson, and Orchard Pools and, city members. I can certainly find out.
Well, if we got rec monies, I mean, that pool's been not a detriment, but it's been it's cost the city money all the time anyway. And I mean, if we gotta have it open to make it utilized. I say we go 50 cents or $1 higher than all the communities around us. You know, it's a start.
Kids that were lifeguards for years up there. It's a huge responsibility. It's a huge responsibility.
Yeah.
No, and I understand that. I mean, and it's just, so can we make that into this thing that we raise our rates tonight or not?
You can,
Not a good idea.
no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that you're kind of shooting in the dark because you don't know what the comp is. But you can make a motion to where it doesn't exceed a certain amount. Now, just be mindful that if you're raising the non-adult lifeguards, then the actual adult lifeguard might want some more money too. And I just want you to be open to that. Are you open to the WSI $20 and our lifeguards who are youngsters to get up to 15?
I would say that'd be the minimum.
You can just flop.
That's what I was thinking,
Yeah.
up to 15.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, everybody's just got to understand, we need to watch the money too. You can't just throw, I mean, you know, that thing's been a drain on us every year. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a problem with it, but we just got to be frugal with it too. We can't just, yeah, no, I understand that.
Just one of those things that's gonna drop the city money forever.
It's so 20 and 15?
20 for Mary Ann for the, and up to 15 for the other lifeguards.
And minimum wage this year is 10.33. I'm just
Okay.
putting that out there, 3%. So that's fine.
Well, and that's been the problem in our community from the turnover to start with. You got to start paying people to keep them. So, I mean, we might as well. figure
I hate to
that out.
drive the council back and right now, but is it possible to give more hours to those who want more hours? It's just another idea.
I mean, there is some people that want to work.
The way this worked last year, the kids that wanted to work worked, and the kids that didn't want to work, they just got scheduled when they had availability, because, in speaking with the lifeguard last year, there was quite a handful of them that had another job or two other jobs. So the kids that were able to work there all the time, worked all the time, and the kids that, you know, we have a lifeguard manager that does all the scheduling in, tandem with the concessions manager, so then they can put a schedule together that fits best for
Okay,
everyone.
well, I think you can work the details of all that out. I say we raise it to 15 and 20, and so do we need to add that to that motion?
Yep. Motion to establish 2022 pool hours and wage increases of $20 for the master lifeguard and up to $15 for the other lifeguards. And admission charge increases as presented by the Office of the City Secretary.
I second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Hockey rink site selection.
Council, before you, you have a couple of sites that we presented to you guys. You had directed us to find alternate sites beyond where we currently have our ice rink. And I asked for direction here to where you'd like to maybe consider moving the ice rink to.
So what do you got? I mean, where it's at now, and then you've got,
So the current location, you know, there's some pros. It's city owned, close to the schools. It's already established as an area for recreation. Cons, if any, are that the city may want to expand into that for land development in the future. But that is an option to just go ahead and develop where we have now. Another area suggested here is North Patrick and West Schliemann Avenues. As you see, there's plenty of space. There's room for 2 rinks, and it would add recreation to the west side of town. We don't have a lot of recreation happening on that side.
We used that field to play football and baseball a lot ever since I was young.
yeah, isn't that, yeah, that's,
Next week in the Southwest.
Yeah, and the kids still use that.
Yep, my boys go over there a lot.
and Riley's actually own that, correct? Riley Brothers own that.
We put this together with Foreman. He identified these parts that we could use.
Oh, okay.
Another con, of course, is they have to cross Munsterman. At the pool location, behind the pool, we have the basketball courts and little volleyball courts. Now, this is not the best place, I would say, but the land behind the gravel road is also city-owned. It would provide more area for recreation, but on a con is you would be removing the basketball and volleyball. Another site is Teal'c east of the church there. That spot is available as well. The lot may be big enough for 2 rinks. I was told by the foreman. He also says centrally located, it's close to the river, the bike path and a park.
That's our property?
That's
Yeah,
what,
that parking lot by Trinity's actually, that's city owned.
Yeah.
Yeah, way on the east.
Is it a very big one? Or is it
It's just
kind
the
of
old driveway from Drew's.
I'm trying to envision it.
It's used a fair amount. It's right by the.
so that's one possible area. Then there's the T intersection of Teal'c and Haven. You have pros that it's also centrally located. It would be minimum work, but the cons are that while there's room for 2 rinks, it would be separated by a street. So
That wouldn't be bad.
It's an alley, isn't it?
it's a
Is it an
street.
alley?
It's Haven. Haven bisects.
Oh, I see, yeah, yeah.
But you know, the kids are gonna have the hockey rink, one hockey rink and one regular skate
skating rink, so it's separated. It's no big deal.
It'd just be an issue with the warming.
What about for warming and stuff?
Yeah,
Because you want to
warming
come in
house.
and warm and then go out.
You'd want to be in a spot.
So, and then the other con is there are trees there, and I don't know if you guys want to remove them or not. That's just.
No, they're kind of out in the middle, and that's part of that discus golf thing too, I think.
So these are the areas that the streets department provided as potentially where you can possibly have a rink. The other option is to work with what we have. So.
I know some people have talked to me about it. They mentioned that it'd be nice to keep it close to the school. So you come out of school and you go skate. But I don't know if we've got, which all of our options, the closest one to that would be what we have. Is that correct?
The most feasible
Closest to the school?
would be what we have.
But there's not enough room up there to do two, is there?
Has anybody talked to the school
To the school,
with that athletic field up there? Because there's just a whole bunch of it they don't use.
Well, I think so far we've just started out with city properties.
Yeah.
Because that would be a good spot right up there, because they just basically don't use that west side of that lot at all. You know, there's a whole softball field there, but it never gets used.
right?
On the west end.
On the west side there.
And maybe more specific, possibly southwest corner or not, which would be away from that diamond.
Well, that diamond isn't,
But then we need to get into negotiations with the
school.
Right.
And just to be clear, the grant that's available right now through the county is for municipalities.
Which means that anything on school property would be automatically.
Well, the school is considered a governing government, but I just wanted to point that out. And we will do a memorandum of understanding with them and proceed that way. But we can't divvy up their land without their permission first.
I'll tell you what, where I'm at, I'd like to drive around personally and just look at these spots.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
just
I don't
see.
think we can make a decision tonight. I don't feel comfortable with that.
This is a good start, though. This is what we needed to get started, I think. What are the possibilities?
But that gentleman spoke up. Is this one not in the game?
No, Riley
That would be in the
Brothers.
west side of town.
I'm sure Riley Brothers own that.
That should be probably Xed out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know when my kids played there, Riley's on it.
Yeah, I'm sure they do, yeah.
Okay.
Well, let's drive around and look at these.
So we can just, if there's no motion, we leave it at, correct? Yep, all right. Chamber of Commerce block party Saturday, June 4th. Rain date, June 5th.
Motion to allow the Chamber of Commerce to host block party as request on June 4th, 2022, or at an alternate rain date, June 5th, 2022.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion?
Where are they going to have it?
The little park right next to their property up there.
Okay. So right on Main.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Golf club gambling permit.
Motion to approve the Appleton Golf Club to host a raffle on November 28th, 2022, pursuant to the Minnesota Gambling Control Board as described by Minnesota Statute 349.163.
Motion's been made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. MediaCom quarterly first revenue.
Motion to recognize Q1 fund franchise agreement revenue from MediaCom in the amount of $3,977.87.
Motion's been made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion?
Is this the first time we've collected on this then?
This is not the first time. This is the
Second, third?
How many payments have we received?
Okay,
This is the second year.
second year. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. City of Mylan mosquito spray contract.
Motion to renew the mosquito spraying contract with the city of Milan, Minnesota.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Purchases beyond city's policy limits.
You have here the Q2 payment request assessment from Pioneer Library System, Probes Engineering's final invoice, MSR, the architects to redesign the $10,555, Magni and Apex charges, and summer recreation. Magni and Apex charges, of course, are reimbursed to PFA.
Motion to approve the purchase for goods and services beyond the city of Appleton purchase policy threshold in the amount of $148,867.44.
Motion's been made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Closed session employee evaluation pursuant Minnesota statute 13D-.05.
Motion to approve entering a closed session for purpose of performing an employee evaluation.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion?
5-minute recess.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Be recorded.
That's the one.
That is the one.
Yeah, that's the one. Do I have to read it all? No.
You should summarize it in your discussion.
Okay.
And a copy should be made available to the public that is.
You recording that, Emma?
Yes, I am.
Oh, all right. All right. To amend to employment agreement, what we're gonna do on this 25th day of May, 2022, between the city of Appleton and Minnesota Municipal Corporation and Willie Morrell. We are going to put up for a vote the employee's salary. We're going to amend to $110,000 a year for the term of 3 years. Cost of living adjustment COLA increase of 1% annually, or an increase that is consistent with the increases for other employment units within the city, whichever is greater. And that's basically what we're doing here. This in 3 years from this,
From when your contract's up, correct, or from now?
I'm just stating.
Any other?
There's no other changes.
okay, I think we covered everything that we're gonna do here.
It's the same contract that you had. We just amended the price and the distance of the time. Do I do a summary on the reasoning or?
Well, you made your motion, so second.
I'll second so we can talk about it.
And then discussion.
Okay, my reasoning as I brought this to the council myself is because of the amount of money that, where's that sheet today?
Oh, the financial analysis really has attached.
Yeah, oh, yeah, okay. Well, since Willie's been here, in the first years he was here, he brought in 7.1 million. And as his cash value of what he's brought in this year is 2.79 million. And we have a street project going to be starting. We have a project with our broadband going on. And we also have the library project going on, and we need somebody that can track that money. And we had our city clerk call around, and other communities are having a hard time finding city administrators. And an honest opinion from me in our community, if we don't have somebody in that office, I've had probably 12 calls from people, and that's why we had to fast track this, because he has an offer. My concern is that if we don't have somebody sitting in this office, everything we've done in this community is going to go backwards. And our ability to ever hire another city administrator for the next 4 or 5 years will be very difficult with the toxic environment that we've created in this community. So that is my reason for doing it. We need somebody that's able to track the money. I've talked to the employees that actually work for the city. They'd be very disappointed if he did leave. They actually like working with him. So that is my reason.
I just also want to point out that the financial turn in our city too, and other people have taken notice, including people at the state level, and how we've turned our city around, and I'd like to keep what we hear.
Anything else?
Good. I'd like to say something. I appreciate it, but I just have to let you know, it's irresponsible for me to let you think that you could not do it with somebody else. You could. You could. I'm not sure that they would have the financial expertise. I'm not sure they'd have the thick skin to deal with people who are constantly fighting with them. But you can do it with someone else. It is irresponsible for me to let you think that. I can't, in all honesty, let you think that. Other people can do it. Do I like doing it? Do I understand that people disagree with you and they beat you up a little bit? I understand that. It's part of the gig. And I welcome the chance to stay. But I just want you to know that other people can do it too. The community, it's not all me. The community is doing hard work. When they come here to criticize me or criticize my work, that's their job too. So just keep the faith.
Yep. I'm just going by the people. Benson is who we reached out to, and they're having a very difficult time. So, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Make a motion to adjourn.
No, we need,
I want to go home.
Our last item today, if it's okay.
Yeah,
I just
you take care of it.
Address that, it's listed as a potential closed session. And we put it out language because when we attempt to close under the subdivision that talks about preliminary allegations against one of your employees or someone subject to your control, the employee has the right to request that meeting open. It's up to the employee how they want to handle that. So we always say potential because they, 99% of the time want it closed, 1% of the time they want it open, and that's what's happened tonight. So run through some background here and we'll have a discussion.
For starters, who is
I will get.
Okay.
That was my next.
Well, yeah.
So we're talking about your fire chief, Mr. Pack. Are you here? No, he's not. But his attorney is. Okay. So notice was provided to Mr. Pack that a closed session would take place at the council meeting tonight for preliminary consideration of allegations against him. He was advised of his right to have that meeting open to the public, and he did exercise that right. So it feels a little weird because we're talking about employment stuff in open session, and usually that's saved for the closed session. By asking that it be open, he has waived those privacy rights in terms of what we're talking about tonight. So by way of background, Mr. Peck was given a formal written reprimand on March 30th of 2022. That reprimand came after a fire department meeting where it was determined that he had violated the code of conduct and ethics applying to his office. The current allegation that brings it forward relates to the storm that you had on May And the significant damage that was caused in the community, the city administrator attempted many times to reach the fire chief to assist in the emergency response planning. I understand that before, during, and after the storm, the administrator was unable to reach the fire chief, or he did not respond to those attempts to involve him in the incident response. That was a troubling development for your city administrator, who wanted and needed a fire chief to rely on at that time. So what do we do with that concern, right? As with any employment matter, first we determine what the facts are before we determine what should happen in a particular situation. Maybe there is a reasonable explanation for why he was not in communication. I don't know that. So our next step then, before deciding what should happen, would be to give him a proper tenancy notice, which is a notice for a public employee of their rights in being interviewed, and then he should be interviewed. And we should understand the facts. Lily should be interviewed to understand the facts from his perspective. And that information should come to you as a council before you decide anything. I can have an attorney from my practice group conduct those interviews. We can do them by Zoom, so there isn't additional travel cost involved in that. Just a reminder that under your ordinance, you cannot remove your fire chief unless you have shown just cause, which is a legal term, and you've given him the right to a public hearing, so a hearing in front of your council. Not that I'm suggesting that's going to be the outcome here, but I just want you to know there is a process in your ordinance. Just cause usually will require progressive discipline. So oral warning, written warning, suspension without pay, consideration of demotion, always an option, especially in a smaller entity before we look at termination, unless someone does something that requires us to escalate through those steps. So, you know, if someone comes and does something violent, let's say, we're going to escalate those steps. We don't have to walk through the lockstep. So that would be my proposal, that we conduct those interviews, get the summaries of them back to you before any decisions are made.
Does the individuals have to participate in these interviews? They don't have a choice.
As an employer, you can compel employees to participate in internal employment investigations. If they refuse, you can discipline or terminate for that. Because you do have the right to gather facts.
Yeah, that's okay. Good.
The only thing we can't require, we can't require an employee to tell us something personal or confidential about themselves. So if we went to an employee and said, where were you on Tuesday, and they were at a medical appointment, they wouldn't necessarily have to share that with us, but the other information. So that's how I'd like to move forward on that matter, unless anyone wants to debate me.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, so we will get that accomplished.
And Mr. Kepler, that what you just stated, Christie, was some of the allegations as far as that are on the table.
As I understand them, yes, that it relates to communications surrounding the weather.
You got my card.
Yeah, thank you.
Just, you guys, I mean, there were many of us on those calls all night that there's 30 night calls. Or, there was none, no cell phone reception. What was your means of communication?
Well, we're going to let the facts, leave the facts to the investigation process.
Well,
That's where you do have assistant chief. So the fire chief is not very chief, all that. Fire chief is not always been. That's why we got assistant chief.
We'll let her take care of it.
Okay.
We're good with that.
Will there be an open hearing then?
It will depend. So sometimes we conduct investigations and the allegations are not substantiated, in which case I would just communicate with the council attorney-client privilege, and you wouldn't have the need to make any decision, right? Because it's not substantiated. If the allegations aren't substantiated, then we would come back in the same kind of form forum to talk about what consequence should be. Does that make sense? Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, you can make the motion. Motion is made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.